Hello, everyone. Good evening. Am I audible? Hello, can everybody hear me? Hello,
Yeah,
hello.
Yes,
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
All right. Um, Good evening, everyone. I'm going to start by introducing myself, and I would want to get to know every one of us as well. So, my name is Victoria Robinson. As I mentioned in our onboarding call, I have years of experience in cybersecurity. I've worked as a SOC analyst and also as a cybersecurity researcher. I've trained several, organizations on cybersecurity and individuals that's not in cybersecurity as well. So I am basically going to be carrying you through cybersecurity fundamentals for your first and second week in this boot camp. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. So we can start by introducing ourselves. Anybody wants to go first? Anybody? Hello, are we shy? Are we shy to introduce ourselves?
I think some persons are having challenges with their mic, but I think Damilare is on now. Maybe Damilare can unmute and go ahead.
Okay,
Good
okay. So
afternoon.
yeah, Damilari.
Yes.
Okay, so introduce yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Larry by name. And what should
Okay.
I say really? So I was invited by my friend,
What do you do? Okay, and why are you interested in cybersecurity?
Mm, I've always been interested in it for a while. So I just saw this as the perfect time to like start something from it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so
Yeah.
who wants to go next? Who's going next?
I think we have Ola and Timilola. Any of you can come up. Ola, please go ahead.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Ola.
Okay.
So I'm here basically because I want to learn about cybersecurity and I also want to upgrade my skills. Thank you.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to get right into it because I'm going to um hope that we're paying attention, and also I think I can see the chat here. So in case you have anything to drop, any questions to ask while we're teaching, you can easily just drop it on the chat box. Okay, Temi Lola, I have seen your message. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, sorry about that. Can you guys see my screen now? Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Can everybody see my screen? Okay. Okay, so I'm basically going to be taking you through cybersecurity fundamentals, like I mentioned earlier. Also, I like to have an interactive class, right? So if you cannot talk, please type in the chat box because I want to know that we're following. I want to ensure that I'm carrying everybody along. So please, if you're confused at any point, if you need clarity on anything, just type it in the chat box if you cannot unmute to speak. Thank you very much. Okay, so these are the things we're going to be covering today. So let's just get right into it. First of all, we have an overview of, cybersecurity. When you hear cybersecurity, what comes to your head? For some people, when they hear cybersecurity, they hear hacking. So people tend to assume that when you say, "Oh, what do you work as?" I work as a cybersecurity analyst. People already assume that you work in this room full of cables and you're hacking day and night. It's a common misconception about cybersecurity. So, cybersecurity refers to the practices, technologies, and processes designed to protect computers, networks, programs, and data from unauthorized access, attacks, or damage. So, the goal of cybersecurity is to ensure three things: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So we have something called the CIA triad. The CIA triad is C, confidentiality, I, integrity, A, availability. These are the three things that cybersecurity revolves around. This is because when we're looking at cyber attacks that has happened in the last couple of years,
Please, Victoria, you are muted. I don't know, maybe that's accidental or it's a network thing. So kindly confirm you are muted. Kindly let's hang on, let's hang in a little bit. I think the presenter had a network issue. She's trying to connect back and join the call. So let's just hang in a little while, a little bit. He will join us back in a moment. So let's hang in a little bit. The presenter is back. She would be resharing her presentation and she would come back on board. So let's just hang in a little bit. Once again, we appreciate your patience. Kindly hold on a little bit. The presenter would come up in a short while and we'll continue from where she stopped. Remember, she was talking about the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and accountability, availability rather. So please just hold on a little bit. She would come on. So presenter, you can unmute and kindly go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that. I did not even realize that I was actually still muted. All right. Can everybody hear me now?
Loud and clear.
All right, great. So sorry about that. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so I was talking about the goal of cybersecurity: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. These three are called the CIA triad. Everything concerning cybersecurity revolves around these three. So when we're looking at subsequent cyber attacks, you would realize that in all of the cyber attacks, one of these three or all three of them was breached. It is either confidentiality of information was breached, or integrity of data was breached, or availability of information was breached. So this is why confidentiality, integrity, and availability are the goal of cybersecurity. All right, so importance of cybersecurity in the modern world. Number one, it is the growing digital footprint. So as more personal and business activities move online, the attack surface for cyber threat expands. I mean, it's no news that the rate of internet connected devices in 10 years ago versus right now versus 10 years to come are actually very different. They are largely different. So with all of this expansion, it's leading to a growing digital footprint. And with more personal activities and more business activities online, it's more attack surface. Attack surface is basically it's basically what an attacker can leverage to carry out an attack, whether large scale or small scale. Next, we have is data breaches. So high profile breaches highlight the need for robust cybersecurity measures. Loss of personal and financial data can have severe consequences. This is why cybersecurity is important in today's world. Data breaches, even something as little as your Facebook hack, it is a data breach, right? And it screams the need for cybersecurity measures. we have financial losses. Cyber attacks can cause businesses millions in recovery and damage control. This is actually one very important factor, especially when we're talking about ransomware. Ransomware, we're going to talk about this in details, but ransomware in itself, it's a malware that encrypts your data and asks for a ransom, asks you to pay something through a payment platform, some way, somehow, before you can get your data back. Now, even that aside, right? Cyber attacks actually cost businesses in terms of situations where an attack was carried out, and as a result, the business lost its reputation. Imagine you hear that Microsoft, for example, was hacked. Microsoft in itself has lost its reputation among people, and that in itself is leading to loss of business. And if they're losing business, then they're losing money, right? That is also a financial loss. Next, we also have is protection of intellectual property, ensuring that proprietary business information and trade secrets are not stolen or compromised. This is why cybersecurity is important, to ensure that there is integrity, availability, and confidentiality of your intellectual property. Next, we have is national security concerns. So government and critical infrastructure are frequent targets of cyber attacks, making cybersecurity a priority for national defense. There are certain countries that their mode of attack is purely cyber. It's something called cyber espionage. And then subsequently, we'll talk about APT groups that are actually funded by these countries' governments, by the state government. Okay, so common cyber threats. We're going to take a look at just these three because it expands to every other thing. So first we have is malware. A malware is simply a malicious software that is designed to disrupt, to damage, or gain unauthorized access to system. Examples are virus, worm, Trojan, spyware, and ransomware. Now let's look at this one after the other. We have virus. We've known about viruses for a while now, right? We have worms, we have Trojans. Now, Trojans is actually one tricky kind of malware. It's tricky because if you know the story of the Trojan and all of that, you would understand why this is tricky. So imagine you go to your Play Store or your App Store and you see this game that is obviously looking like a game, right? And you find it interesting and you want to download this game. Now, you are downloading it with the idea that you are downloading a game. You are not aware of the fact that you are actually installing a malware on your device. So a Trojan is basically a malware that masquerades as a legitimate software. Now, this malware can be used for anything, whether it is data exfiltration, that is to siphon data out of your device to an attacker controlled server, or it is to spy on you, basically take note of your keystrokes. Those are called spywares. An example of a spyware is a keylogger. That's the next thing on our list. An example of a spyware is a keylogger. So what a keylogger does is that it takes note of your keystrokes. So as you're typing your password, it is taking note of the password, of the email address, the username, and keyloggers also have the ability to take screenshots. So this is a spyware. And in most cases, you do not know that what you've installed on your phone is a malware that masqueraded as a legitimate application that is now spying on you. I hope you can see the relationship in this. And next we have is a ransomware, like I had explained previously, basically a malware that encrypts your device and asks for a ransom. Next we have is phishing. Now this is a form of social engineering. Social engineering, I think we're going to talk about that in our next class, but just a brief overview. Social engineering is literally psychologically manipulating, is when an attacker, a cyber attacker, psychologically manipulates victim to get information, unauthorized access to information from their victims. So you know that thing that we call what's it called? Emotional blackmail. Yes, in cybersecurity, we call it social engineering, because what the attacker is trying to do is to manipulate you into divulging sensitive information. There are several techniques of social engineering, and phishing is one of them, right? So phishing is a form of social engineering where attackers trick individuals into revealing sensitive information. Example, usernames, passwords, by posing as a trustworthy entity, right? So phishing is mostly delivered through email. We have different kinds of like I said, social engineering technique, and we have phishing. Phishing is here because in the last 2 years, it has been noted to be the highest cause of a cyber attack. What I mean by that is that lately it has been observed that attackers mostly leverage malicious links that have been sent to you via your email to carry out cyber attacks, be it on an individual or on an organization. Now, this is why we have phishing here, because it is important for you to know as an individual what link you should click. It is not every link that they're sent to you through email that you click. Even on SMS, you know, when you get those funny messages that ask you to click on this link to claim your 50 million naira prize, click on this link to all of those things. Those are for SMS. When those links are sent to you via SMS, it is called smishing, right? Smishing. When it is done via voice call, you know, when someone calls you and tells you that they are from your bank and they want you to verify some information and send you your BVN, that you need to do it ASAP, as soon as possible. That is called vishing. So we have smishing, vishing, and phishing. Phishing is what we're talking about here, which is the one sent via email. The one sent via SMS, don't forget, is called smishing. The one done via phone call is called vishing. Good. So again, we have ransomware, encrypting victims' file and asking for ransom. Key terminologies in cybersecurity. Like Mr. Matthew said in our previous call, in different career paths, there are terms that you use, you know, to describe certain things. And if you're in that track, there is a need for you to become acquainted with those terms, right? To show your expertise in it, basically. So the first term we have here is threats. Threats. Now, a threat is any circumstance or event with the potential to cause harm to a system, network, or organization. Examples are natural disaster, human error, or malicious attack. Those are threats. Now, vulnerability. Vulnerability is a flaw or a weakness in a system's design, implementation, or operation that could be exploited to violate the system's security policy. Now, I'm going to explain vulnerability in details just in case you don't understand. So you see that thing where you're being asked to update your device. Now, when WhatsApp asks you to update, they are not just asking you to update because there's a new feature. They are also asking you to update because maybe the previous version was vulnerable. By vulnerable, I mean that maybe there was a loophole that was observed. Maybe there was a bug in the code that was observed that can actually leverage this bug to carry out an attack. And because of that, a new code was written to fix the previous code that was vulnerable. Now, with that, you're now asked to update to the latest version. When you're asked to update your laptop, when you're asked to update your phone, it is not always for new features. Please take note. It is not always for you to see new features, guys, right? It is also for you to update your application, your software to the latest in order for you to be secure, so that your device is not vulnerable to cyber attackers, so that a cyber attacker is not going to use that vulnerability in the software to gain access to you or your privacy. I hope we're following. Please unmute and tell me if you're following what I am teaching.
Yes. Zanny, we're following.
All right, great. So Now, risk is the potential for loss or damage when the threat exploits a vulnerability. Risk is the potential for loss or damage when a threat exploits a vulnerability. So in simple terms, we can say that risk equals likelihood times impact. So it is a function of the likelihood of a threat and the potential impact. So we're putting likelihood and impact together. Likelihood of this thing happening and the impact after it happens. That is risk. Now, note the relationship between threat and vulnerability in the definition of risk. So malware, as we've said before, it's basically malicious software. Any software that is basically done to cause harm, damage, and compromise your confidentiality, your integrity, and the availability as well. So let's go to the next. All right, now we have exploit. Exploit. Now, exploit is a piece of software, a chunk of data, or sequence of commands that takes advantage of a bug. Remember when I mentioned software bugs, right? Takes advantage of a bug or vulnerability to cause unintended behavior to occur on the computer software or hardware. So you notice that your laptop is hotter, like it's a lot hotter than before, or it is a lot slower or crankier than before. These things can be pointers to your software being leveraged for a cyber attack, right? Now we have a firewall. A firewall is a security device or program that monitors incoming and outgoing traffic, network traffic, and decides whether to block or allow specific traffic based on predetermined security rules. So you can see your firewall as your gate. You know, you have a house, and then your house has a gate. Now that house in itself can be a software or an application, right? That gate is the firewall. Now what the firewall does is to filter traffic to ensure that the people that are coming into your compound are not armed robbers, right? And the people that are going out of the compound are not going out to go and meet a flood, or are not going out with something from your house. I hope we're following. So basically that is what a firewall is. Now another thing on the list is password policy. So basically these are rules and guidelines that you're asked to follow as an individual to enforce strong password, because it is observed that a lot of us are lazy when it has to do with setting password. There is a need for you to be very critical when you're choosing passwords, because your password is your own individual first line of defense against cyber attacks. Then we have zero trust. Zero trust is a security model that operates on that principle that no one, whether inside or outside the network, should automatically be trusted. Zero trust in cybersecurity is that no one, whether whether we're working in the same company, no one, right? Instead, strict verification is required from everyone trying to access resources. So see this as a company, a big company, you have different roles and all of that. And then in these different roles, maybe my own job is to keep files, to store critical files, and your own job is basically to attend to customers. And then you come around and then you're randomly looking at my own files that I am storing. That is not zero trust. Zero trust is ensuring that even if we are best of friends, even if we are work best friends, when you come around, I am supposed to put those critical documents away because of the security model of zero trust. So instead, strict verification, meaning that you can only access these files that I am keeping if and only if you are verified to maybe you have a requirement that necessitates you having access to this document. That is zero trust. Now, we also have something called attack vectors in cybersecurity. What are attack vectors? Now, an attack vector is a method or pathway that a malicious actor can use to gain unauthorized access to a computer system, network, or application in order to carry out harmful activities. It essentially refers to the specific vulnerabilities or entry points that can be exploited by attackers. That is what we mean when we say attack vectors. Attack vectors are those things that an attacker can use to carry out an attack. I'm going to take it again. An attack vector is simply the things that an attacker can use, can leverage to carry out an attack. Now, these are just few. What I have listed here are just few attack vectors. Number one we have is email. Your email is an attack vector because, as we said previously, attackers send phishing links via your email. This is why it is an attack vector. It's why you need to practice good cyber hygiene. Before you click a link sent to you via email, stop and think. Ask if did you request for this email, if it is something that's asking you to, because phishing emails always prompt you to carry out an action, right? The action could be sending an OTP, it could be clicking a link, which is very dangerous because we have something called drive-by download in cybersecurity. Drive-by download is that you did not even download anything on that website, but the fact that you clicked on that website downloaded a malware to your laptop. And it's even tricky because for some kind of malwares that are embedded into links, the drive-by download could just be that your mouse, your cursor is hovering around that link. You don't even have to click it for some malicious links. So yeah, it's why we have to be security cautious when we're, clicking links that are sent to us via email. You have to be sure if it is an email sent to you by AliExpress, confirm that that domain, the domain that carries the email is the real AliExpress email. Confirm that this is something you requested for, right? Sometimes some of us register for things so much that we forget that we register for this particular thing in the first place. It is not a good cyber practice. Keep track of the things that you're registering for so that when you get an email that you did not request, no matter how juicy the offer sounds, you know that you did not sign up an account with these people. So why are they sending you an email? You have to cross-check, verify. Next, we have is web browsing. Like I said, drive-by downloads, which is what we have here. Compromised websites can lead to drive-by download, where the malware is downloaded without the user's knowledge. So web browsing is an attack vector. And then we have for network attacks, we have distributed denial of service. Now, distributed denial of service is basically where an attacker leverages several networks. Let's say I own a web application, right? That is maybe a gym app or a gym website for you to come and sign up, basically. And then an attacker wants to cause a distributed denial of service on my website. What the attacker is going to do is to leverage thousands of compromised laptops to send requests to me, to my website. Now, let's say that my website is only designed to carry maybe a maximum of 100 requests per second. Now, this attacker might send a maximum of 5,000 requests per second. That in itself is going to overwhelm my website, causing it to crash. That is a distributed denial of service. Now, I did say that if you do not update your laptops or your phones or your applications on your phone, right, an attacker can actually leverage your device to carry out an attack without you knowing. What I was speaking to was something called a zombie network or a botnet. This is when an attacker primarily compromises your laptop by leveraging a vulnerability. Maybe you do not update your laptop and your laptop is vulnerable to a particular attack, and the attacker sees your laptop as vulnerable and leverages your laptop to carry out that distributed denial of service on another web application, on another website. The only thing you observe is that maybe your laptop is lagging more than before, or it is getting hot faster, or your battery is running down faster than before, things like that. Until you check background processes, those processes that are running on background, and you see crypto mining for, your device can be used for crypto mining. You are mining without your knowledge, right? Which is why from time to time, check background processes in your laptop. All right, so we also have man in the middle attack. This is when an attacker intercepts communication between two parties, right? I'm sending you, hi, how are you? On your end, instead of you to see, hi, how are you? You are saying, oh, can you quickly send me your IG password? I want to quickly check something. And because me, I consider you my friend, I might just send it to you, not knowing that it is not me. An attacker has been sniffing the packets of our conversation and is able to intercept and send a message that it is not me that is sending. Typically, that is man in the middle attack. Now, let's look at the historical perspective of cybersecurity threats. Are we following? Please, I want to hear people tell me, are we following? Are we together?
Yes. Following closely.
Together.
All right, great. Okay, so we have the first computer virus. This was in the 1980s. We have the spread of email-based virus. Sorry. All right. So we have the spread of email-based virus. This was in the 1990s, right? And then in the 2000s, phishing became more sophisticated. What this means is that, what this means is that phishing became more intentional. Attackers became more creative when they're writing phishing emails. So they could tell you, they could send email saying, urgently update your laptop or urgently update your Windows, whatever version of Windows you're using. And then that is not supposed to come to you via mail, right? It is supposed to just pop up on your laptop. But because of how urgent it sounds, you are motivated to click that link. It is social engineering. They are manipulating you psychologically to carry out that activity. So we also have ransomware, in the sense that ransomware became more significant, which is why we always say in cybersecurity, do not pay for ransom, especially ransomware where you do not know if this attacker, right, has been able to gain access to your device, right, to the extent that they can encrypt your data, and you do not know if they have exfiltrated data to their own server. This would mean that they still have your data and they can easily come back anytime and threaten you and tell you, we still have your data, pay this amount to this amount, else it will be released to the public. Now you're still going to be scared, and then you're going to, so we advise not to pay for ransomware, basically. All right, next, case studies. Now this is the interesting part. Case studies of major cyber incidents in 2024. So the first one we have is a major healthcare provider that experienced a data breach that exposed the personal and medical records of over 5 million patients. Now, do you know that there's something called PII in cybersecurity? PII. PII is personal identifiable information. This is basically anything that anybody can identify you with. Your PII is your name, your BVN, your NIN, your picture, what else? Your PIN. Basically, anything that somebody can use to trace back to you is your PII, which is why we need to be careful of what we share online. We're in the age currently where people share things. People share very personal things online, and these are things you should be careful about. Now, I'm saying this to say that people actually sell people's PII on the dark web. There is a reason why hospitals have security teams, big hospitals anyway. They have security teams because for something as simple as medical records, it can be leveraged against an individual, right? There are people that maybe they are in court for a particular case and all of that. And then the opponent asks a cyber attacker to get their medical records for them. What this is going to do is that the other person is probably going to use that medical record to win the case. And that is illegal. Okay, so coming back, so this breach occurred due to a vulnerability of an unpatched patch, that's update, on an unpatched software system, which was exploited by attackers using a ransomware variant. Now you can see the relationship between all of this. Unpatched software, that's when they say update, it means patch, that's puts the upgrade, right? If someone says that a patch for a particular software is available, it means that an update for that software is available, right? So now this breach occurred because there was able to use a ransomware to exploit that vulnerability. And because they're able to exploit that vulnerability with the ransomware, they had access to the data and medical record of over 5 million patients. That is alarming. Now, this incident underscored, the importance of timely software updates and data protection in the healthcare sector, which is something that we need to start looking at more. That is one, and that's mind-blowing in itself. And then the next one is a large financial institution suffered a phishing attack in 2024 that led to compromise of thousands of customer accounts. Attackers used sophisticated social engineering tactics to trick employees into revealing login details, which were then used to access sensitive financial data. This means that an attacker was able to whine an employee, right, to trick you, to tell you maybe I don't know exactly how to explain this without going into plenty details on social engineering. It's something that you still cover subsequently, but I need you to see the effect of social engineering in itself. You might say that, oh, how would they allow somebody to whine you and things like that? These are not things that you can easily note. You have to be cyber aware to note certain tactics that an attacker can pull on you because they're cyber attackers, right? So yeah, social engineering technique was used to gain login credential, right? We also have a social engineering technique called shoulder surfing. This is why we have something called the zero trust, which we discussed previously. Shoulder surfing is basically when in that company, you're sitting on your desk, you're looking at your screen, and then your work best friend, in quotes, comes around, to talk to you. And then they're able to look at you typing in your password. That is social engineering. They're talking to you, they're giving you just to distract you from the fact that they're actually looking at your password and your email that you're using to log into a particular website. Right? Now, this happened in the UK. This incident highlighted the need for improved employee training. So we need to know how to practice cyber hygiene. Know that when you're typing your password, people need to give you space. When you're typing your bank PIN, give people space. Even though you don't have money inside, give people space, because when you have money, might be when they remember that they saw somebody's PIN and they can actually, do something about it. And then the next one is the distributed denial of service targeted against Germany's national power grid, causing significant power disruption. So the attackers leveraged insecure IoT devices, Internet of Things, to carry out the attack. This underscores the vulnerability in connected devices and the importance of securing critical infrastructure against cyber threats. Internet of Things are basically devices, hardwares that are connected to the internet. Now, we also have a major breach in an Australian telecommunication company that led to exposure of millions of customers' personal information, including the phone numbers and the addresses. The attackers again exploited a vulnerability in the company's customer management system, highlighting the need for regular security audits and stringent data access control to protect sensitive information. These are case studies of major cyber incidents. This will let you know how little mistakes that we do can lead to, especially if you're working in an organization. There is a need for you to be cyber aware before an attacker will now use you as a scapegoat to have access to the entire organization. That would be a bad thing to happen, to be honest. Is why we need to be cyber aware, to practice good cyber hygiene, update your workstation, even if it's only your own workstation. We are all in a company, everybody's connected to the same network. So if an attacker is able to gain access to one system, the attacker has gained access to every system that are in that